There always seemed to be time for them all, and that was a time to discover oneself. I used to love going into Hot Topic and stroking the velvet capes. My name is the lovely Ray, and I was born and raised in the U.S. I currently have the opportunity to speak with people from all over the world. Regular people just like you. And I'm always fascinated by our cultural differences and similarities. This podcast is voiced in the style of the sultry-sounding 1955 weather girl. It is a collection of thoughts inspired by my global conversations and aims to invite you to have those hard conversations out loud and with others. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome back, darlings. I thought we'd have a little chat. Welcome back about something other than the current president of the United States. About something other than at times it could seem that's all any American after all. At times, my dear, it seems that's all any I want to talk to you about something else. But that, my dearest, I feel I want to talk to you about something else that the headlines presently. I feel just and that isn't getting enough attention. The current litigation in which social media companies are being asked to explain in which their social media companies are being asked to why exactly they have been their practices. And why exactly that they have been for creating young people applications. Now, being addicted in and of itself isn't really considered a bad thing in the United States. Being addicted in and of itself isn't really considered a bad thing in the United States. I mean, after all, are addictive substances. And yet, it is considered taboo to try to get young people to be addicted to these things. Now, it is considered taboo to try to get young people to be addicted to these things. Now, when we look at vaping companies, energy drink companies, the rules seem to be a little vaping companies. Now, these companies have been poo-pooed over the years, saying, please now these companies have been poo-pooed over the years, saying, please stop making like they're okay flavored like items that will draw kids to them. Like they're so close to candy, like the sweet all that bad for you. I mean, sure, so close to candy, maybe can't really be all that bad for maybe you. A little toothache, I mean, sure, maybe a little calories, but a little cavity, it can't maybe really a little toothache, maybe a little calories, but and it can't. I think really we'll save it for another time where we talk about how the American food is addictive. I think we'll save it for another time where we talk about and how American food families is addictive right into certain podcasts and how claiming how they love listening to the podcast in the car with their children, claiming how they said listening are constantly talking about how they children smokeless tobacco and they love are constantly talking about how they use what messages tobacco and they love their deaths. I mean, and what messages are we bigwigs like Mark Zuckerberg take the stand in American courtrooms and try to justify like Mark Zuckerberg take the stand in American courtrooms? It's okay and try to justify to be able to use these applications for and teenagers to be able to time using applications that and they know will spend more time using applications that addictive use they know of these applications will low self-esteem. Let's just say use of these applications. TikTok settled for a reason. Well, and Meta should have done the same thing. TikTok settled for a reason. I understand that maybe they were hoping by not settling. I understand that maybe they were hoping in a situation by in which not they would be succumbing to lawsuit put themselves in a situation in which they would be succumbing to lawsuit. Isn't that what happened to Diddy? After lawsuit, after multiple lawsuits after he settled. Isn't that what happened to Diddy? Then again, lawsuits after he settled. One could say Then again,
Zuckerberg really know
one could
that what he was doing was
say,
wrong?
well, of course he did, because internal emails
really
say
know
so.
that what he was doing was wrong?
Well, of course he did, because
Mark Zuckerberg
internal
isn't the only one who's in trouble.
say so. And this episode
Mark
is
Zuckerberg isn't
actually
the only one who's in
more
trouble.
focused
And
on this
you.
episode.
Yes,
is
you see,
actually
as
more
there is
focused
a young
on
lady in
you.
court fighting her
Yes,
case
you
right now
see,
against these
as
big companies.
there is a young lady
trying
in
to
court
get the
fighting her
world to
case right now
understand that
against
she
these big
lost her
companies,
childhood,
trying to
get the world
excessive
to understand
social
that she
media
lost her childhood.
I found myself
due to
reflecting
excessive
on my
social
own
media
teenage
use.
years. I found myself reflecting
What was I doing?
on my own teenage
What was I
years.
into? Or was
What
I? What was I
turned
doing?
me on?
What was I
And
into?
that
What
brought my mind back
turned me
to
on?
the great
And
American mall.
that brought my mind back
Oh,
to
yes, darling.
the great
I
American
used to
mall.
Spend
Saturday
yes,
afternoons,
I
walking
used
around the
to
mall.
Spend
With a
Saturday
friend,
afternoons
or alone,
walking around the mall,
window shopping
with a friend.
Do people even do
or
that
alone
anymore? I mean,
window shopping.
after all,
We're all
people even
so
do that
obsessed
anymore? I
with
mean,
going
after
online.
all,
We're all
clicking,
so
having it
obsessed
delivered,
with
the perfect size.
going online. Isn't it
clicking,
interesting how shopping
having
is
it
so
delivered,
convenient?
the
How one
perfect
can
size.
simply with the click of a button.
Isn't it interesting
You can even
how
have your own
shopping is
personal
so convenient?
stylist
How one can
online.
receive
Simply with the
the
click of a
items
button.
that you like.
You can even
in
have
the
your own personal
size that hopefully
stylist
will work
online.
for you, but maybe
Receive
sometimes
the
you just
items
order
that
more
you
than one
like in the
size that
so that
hopefully
way
will work for you, but maybe
you can try
sometimes you
things
just
on
order
in the
more
comfort
than
of
one
your own home
size and
so
return
that
what
way
isn't working.
you can try things on in the comfort of your own
System
home
working anyway,
and
because you see,
return what isn't working. Companies are realizing that they are losing out
because you
big
see,
time when it comes to these returns.
companies are realizing that
And
they
then, of
are
course,
losing out
consumers
big
have to
time
figure
when
out
it
how they're
comes
going to
these
return the
returns.
items. And then, of
After
course,
all,
consumers have to
the
figure out
days
how
of
they're
just
going to
having
return the
someone
item.
pick up the item at your
After
doorstep, or
all, slowly
the days of
fading
just
away,
having
there is
someone
now
pick
a
up the item
cost
at your doorstep
for that
or
pickup. Slowly
fading
and
away, there
you
is now
could
a
just
cost
drop off the item when
for
you
that
go to get
pickup.
your groceries or run other
And
errands. Hey,
you
we'll send
could
you a
just drop
label.
off the item when you
We'll send
go
you
to get your
packaging.
groceries or
In
run
fact,
other errands.
you
Hey,
figure
we'll
out the
send you a
packaging.
label.
Oh, what a
We'll send you
system it
packaging.
is.
In fact,
And so
you
much
figure
of
out the
those
packaging.
unused
Oh,
items
what a
go
system it is.
into the landfill.
And so
or
much
are
of those
attempted to be
unused
resold
items go
into the landfill or are
that
attempted to be
is
resold.
not this.
Because this is about
That
reminiscing
is not
over.
this.
Because
The
this
joys
is
of
about reminiscing
being a
over
teen,
with the joys
little
of
being a
purpose.
with
Sure, there's
little
the good grades that you want to get,
purpose.
and maybe you want to be good at that.
Sure,
There's the good grades that you want to
soccer
get,
team,
and
or
maybe you
basketball
want to be
team, or
good
whatever
at
sport
that. You play or dance or
soccer
gymnastics.
team or
There
basketball
always seems
team
to
or
be
whatever
time for
sport
them
you
all.
play or
dance or
and
gymnastics.
that was a time to discover
There always seems
oneself.
to be time for them all.
Instead of
And that
going online
was a time to
and
discover oneself.
sliding into someone's DMs.
Instead of
You
going
could go to the mall
online,
and check out
and
people at the food
sliding
court.
into someone's
DMs.
That person
You
over
could go to
there
the
is
mall
cute.
and check out people at the food
Instead
court.
of
Going
that
on
person over there
someone's
is
page and
Instead
liking something that
of
looks cute.
going on someone's
Instead
page
of
and
scrolling
liking
endlessly,
something that looks cute,
looking for
instead
items
of
that your
scrolling
favorite celebrity has
endlessly,
promoted,
looking for
items
items
that your favorite celebrity
influencer
has
has
promoted,
promoted,
you just have to
looking
have.
for things that your
You go to the mall
favorite influencer
and
has said
discover
you just
something
have
new.
to have. Not just
You go to the mall
something new in
and
terms of
discover
what's
something
popular
new.
in pop culture.
Not
But
just
you could also
something
discover something new
in
about
terms
yourself.
of what's
Popular in pop
hot
culture.
topic, anybody?
But you could also discover something new about
I
yourself.
remember walking in and thinking,
Hot
this
topic,
feels a little
anybody?
edgy.
Everything's so
I remember
dark.
walking in and thinking,
Everything's
this
a
feels a
little
little
cheery.
edgy.
And
Everything's so dark.
I don't feel like
Everything's
this is
a
a
little
store for
less
my
cheery.
mom. And
I don't feel like this is a
I
store
don't
for little
feel
kids.
like this is a store for my mom.
Just like, I don't feel like this is a store for little
Goldilocks.
kids.
This porridge
Just
is like
just right.
Goldilocks.
This porridge
I used to
is
love
just
going into Hot
right.
Topic and stroking the
I used to love
velvet
going into Hot Topic
capes
and stroking
and
the velvet, the
bejeweled
and
crosses, fingering the
tarot cards on the shelf. Oh my.
crosses. Something wicked must be happening.
Tarot cards on the shelf.
And
oh my. Few
something
years
wicked
later,
must be happening.
the mall
here.
became the hub for
And
going to places like
few years later,
Abercrombie and Fitch.
the mall became the
And then
hub
there
for going to
was
places
Abercrombie
like
for kids.
Abercrombie and
Oh
Fitch.
yes,
And then
mall.
there was so
Abercrombie for
many
kids.
ways to
Oh
explore
yes, the mall.
and to learn about
so many
oneself. Ways to explore and to learn about oneself. I think me and my friends stayed fit because we walked around the mall. I think me and my friends stayed fit
A
because
gal could spend
we
hours
walked around
walking
the mall.
around,
Never
never spend. A gal could spend
hours
hours walking around.
The entertainment
never
was joyous.
spending
A dime.
What's going on
the
with malls today in the
entertainment was
US?
joyous.
Recently, I had the opportunity to go
What's
to a
going on
mall
with
in
malls today in the
I was
US?
quite surprised.
In fact,
Recently, I had the
I
opportunity to go
didn't
to
see
a
a lot of
mall in
clothing stores.
I was quite
I
surprised. In
did
fact,
see
I didn't see a lot of
children's
clothing
party
stores.
center.
A
I
gym,
did see
a arcade,
children's party center
and a gym.
oh yes, there was
arcade,
a little energy spot for
and
kids with things for them to
oh
ride
yes,
on.
This
There
byway
was a
free.
little energy spot for kids.
There
with
were
things for
food
them to ride
establishments, a
on.
bookstore.
This byway was free.
Where were the clothes?
There were food establishments, a bookstore.
I remember when I first moved to
Where
New
were
York
the
City, and I
clothes?
was so excited to see. Well,
I remember
New
when
York
I
is the
first moved to
fashion
New York
capital of the
City, and
world.
I was so
What's
excited
the mall
to see.
like
Well,
here? If New York is the fashion
and
capital of the world,
the Midtown Manhattan Mall
what's
was
the
truly
mall
depressing.
like here?
There was JCPenney's,
And
the Midtown Manhattan Mall was truly
only
depressing.
what?
Across the street or
JCPenney's,
block away from
which
Macy's
is only
and
what?
across the street or
much
block away from Macy's.
desire.
And
To look at,
there
to
just
want,
wasn't
much to
and
desire.
there was nothing edgy about
to
that
look
mall.
at, to want.
Oh, joy.
And
I can get
there
a
was
Jamba
nothing
Juice.
edgy about that mall.
Oh, joy.
No
I can get a
one
Jamba Juice.
goes to the mall just to get a smoothie.
No one
Goes to the
now.
mall
When you're broke
just
teen,
to get a smoothie.
you're going maybe for that smoothie.
Now,
That's where you'll spend
when
your
you're
cash.
broke teen,
But you're
also
going
want to go
maybe
and
for that
explore.
smoothie. That's where
You
you'll
want to go
spend your
check out the
cash.
clothes that maybe
But you
someday you'll be
also
able to
want to
get.
go and explore.
You want to.
You want to go check out the
clothes that maybe someday you'll be able to get.
different.
You want to
sides of youth being presented
see
at you.
different.
You want to crave
sides
what is
of
there.
youth being presented at you.
And well,
You
New
want to
York City
crave
Mall
what is
just
there.
wasn't making me crave anything.
And
other
well,
than
New York
the
City Mall
exit
just
wasn't
now,
making me crave
fast forward a number of
anything.
years,
Other
and New
than
York City
the
malls
exit have definitely
now,
improved.
fast forward a number
But
of years,
I
and New York City
still
malls
wouldn't say they are
have
the
definitely
go-to spot
improved.
for
But
younger generation.
I
still wouldn't say they are the go-to
which is
spot for
really
younger
quite sad.
generations.
Yeah,
Because
which is
having a place
quite
to spend
sad.
one's time, a physical
Because
place,
having
something
a place to spend
outside
one's
of
time,
social media and
a
phones,
physical place,
having a place to
something
converge
outside
that
of
doesn't
social
just
media and
include
phones,
consuming,
having a place to
empty
converge
calories, that doesn't
This
just
is
include
what helps
consuming
shape
empty
calories.
young people.
This
And this is what helps
the
shape
brain.
young people. And this
I mean, I
is
remember
what
dreaming of
helps
myself
dream.
wrapped in velvet.
I mean, I remember
But,
dreaming of myself
alas,
wrapped in velvet.
New York City malls
Seem to
but,
be on
alas,
two different ends of
New
the
York City
spectrum.
malls
We have
the
seem
mall
to be on
for
two different ends of the spectrum.
maybe
We
the
have working class
the
family.
mall for
There's going to be a Target
the-
in that mall, or
maybe the
JCPenney's.
working
and
class
You can
family.
go in. There's going to be a
family
Target in that
clothes,
mall, or
and
JCPenney's.
there's
and
also going to
you
be
can go
a
in,
number
get the
of
family clothes.
expensive.
There's also going to be a number
expensive
of
in the terms of you're not going to have your
expensive
eateries as a part of that mall.
Expensive in the
But
terms of
you'll
you're not
have
gonna
some
your trendy noodle shop
as a part of that mall.
but
you'll
it'll
have
be
some
trendy
spot
noodle
to go
shop
to if you want to have a
and
craft beer.
it'll be
and
the cool
some
spot to go to
if you want to have a
moderately
craft beer
priced
and
food, moderately
some
priced for grown-ups, but expensive
moderately
for teenagers.
priced
Food, moderately
to
priced for grown-ups,
enjoy.
but expensive for teenagers.
Yeah.
Food to
But
enjoy.
in terms of
Trend-setting clothes, crave-worthy clothes.
but
In terms of
not so
trend-setting
much at the mall.
clothes,
Maybe a few little
crave-worthy
boutique
clothes,
shops where you can find
not so much at the
some
mall. Maybe a few little boutique
artist
shops
where you
hand-drawn
can find
hoodies,
some
uniquely decorated
artist
sneakers,
hand-drawn hoodies
and
uniquely
that's about
decorated
boring
sneakers.
fucking it. And on the other end of the spectrum,
boring
one would
fucking
have
and
the mall for
on the other
tourists.
end of the spectrum,
And so these were where
one
you would
would
find
have
stores
the
for
mall for tourists.
Coach,
And so
and
these were where you would
other
find stores
high-end
for retailers,
Coach
Kate Spade,
and
places
other
where one could
high-end
expect
retailers,
to
Kate
peruse,
Spade,
and
places where one
that
could expect
Tiffany
to
necklace I
peruse.
see. And that's definitely
is that
worth
a
investing
Tiffany
in.
necklace I
And
see?
is that a
That's
Pandora
definitely
store
worth
over there?
investing in.
Gonna need some more charms.
And is that a Pandora
Lots
store
of
over there?
Gonna need some
Items
more
that
charms.
the average
Lots
teenager
of
could not afford.
items
That the
I don't
average
even
teenager
know
could not
it's
afford.
something that they
And
crave, to be honest.
I suppose
know
if all these
it's something that they
influencers are
crave, to be
showing off
honest.
their I suppose if all these influencers that becomes crazy
showing off their
but
$5,000
not many
handbags
teens are
that
able to
becomes
save up their
crazy-worthy.
hard-earned money
But
from working after school.
not many teens
in
are
order to go
able to
buy
save up their
hard-earned
hard-earned
money from
And
working
so,
after school.
you see, we
in
have
order
the
to go
malls
buy
of the
a
haves and the
$5,000
have-nots.
handbag.
And so,
yet, even
you
the mall
see,
of the
we have the
have-nots
malls of the haves
doesn't
and the
have much to
have-nots.
offer those
And
who
yet,
have very
even the
little.
mall of the have-nots,
The mall used to be a
doesn't have
place
much
that
to offer
anyone
those who
could go
have
to.
very little.
Even if you only had
The mall
$5
used to be a
in your
place
pocket,
that
and
anyone
still
could
walk
go
away
to,
feeling like you had a good time.
even
Even if you only had $5 in
That
your
just doesn't
pocket,
seem to be the case anymore.
still walk away feeling like you had a
Now,
good time.
That just doesn't seem to be the
Outside
case
of New
anymore.
York City, what are
Now,
malls like? Well,
outside
as I
of New York
mentioned,
City,
there are the malls
what are
where you'll
malls
find
like?
the PlayStation for
Well,
kiddies. As I mentioned,
one mall
there
even
are the
still had a
malls where you'll
bookstore,
find the
surprise,
PlayStation for
surprise.
kiddies.
And another
One
had a
mall even
bookstore and a
still had a
library, which I
bookstore,
found
surprise, surprise.
quite interesting.
And another had
Why
a
go to the
bookstore and a
bookstore
library,
when
which
the
I
library
found
is right there?
quite, but I
Interesting.
digress.
Why
Because
go
a
to the
number
bookstore
of
when the
American
library
malls
is right
are
there?
closing.
But I digress.
Closing
because
a number of
no one
American
goes to the
malls
mall
are
anymore.
closing.
Closing
because
no
fashion
one goes to the
brands
mall
have their
anymore.
outlet posts where
Closing
they are selling
because
their products at a
fashion
discounted rate.
brands have their
The
outlet
products
posts
that
where they
may
are
have
selling
pulled
their
from
products at a discounted
regular
rate.
stores, or
The
maybe they've
products
just closed their
that
regular
they may
stores
have
because it
pulled
was
from
cheaper just to
regular
sell things
stores,
online.
or maybe they've just closed their
And
regular
whatever you can't
stores
sell
because it
online,
was
go ahead and put it in
cheaper
the
just to sell
outlet.
things
People in America
online.
are always
And
looking
whatever you
for
can't
a
sell
bargain.
online,
Go ahead and
and
put it in
yet,
the outlet. People in
the
America
fact
are
that these
always looking
malls
for a
are
bargain.
closing, have
And
closed.
yet,
The fact that
they're
these
just
malls
in many
are
cities
closing,
throughout
have
the
closed,
country abandoned. They're just
the fact
in
that
many cities
this
throughout
same
the
country
that is presently at
abandoned.
trillions
The
of
fact
dollars
that
in debt.
this same
Meanwhile,
country that is
the
presently at
trillions of
said
dollars in
country
debt is making
meanwhile,
billions of
the
dollars off of said presidency
said country
and is making
still
billions of dollars off of said presidency and
to
still spending
redo parts
money
of White House
to
change the Kennedy
redo
Center and
parts of
pay for
White
House
troops
to
go into
change the
cities
Kennedy
where the
Center
very cities themselves
and
have said
pay
we
for
don't need
troops
troops
to
to
go
go into
into
cities where the very cities
policing at
themselves
this
have said
time.
we don't need
The
troops to
same
help
out
with
of
our
control
policing
spending
at this time
of the government
the same out
also
of control
seems to be
spending
the same
out of control
government
spending
also seems to be the
young
same
people
out
of control
spending.
Yes, we have a
that
number of
young
people
have
on
become
social
accustomed
media.
Not only
Yes, we
flaunting
have
their
a
expensive
number
items,
of
but
people
saying that
on
they
social
had to
media.
buy them all
Not only
with credit
flaunting
on
their
loan.
expensive items,
They're
but
never going to be
saying
able to
that
pay these things
they had to
off
buy them
and
all with credit on
live in
the
the
moment.
moment.
They're never
Or
going
they're
to be
not
able
sure
to
what
pay
they're
these
gonna
things
do.
off,
and
oh well.
live in the
Then I
moment.
think of the generation
Or they're not
before
sure what they're
them.
gonna do.
And
And
I think then I think of the generation
how
before
much
them.
I
And
enjoy
I think
them all.
and yet
How much
I'm probably a little bit
I
older than the
enjoyed
parents
them all.
of these
And yet
young people flipping
I'm
out
probably a
about
little
how
bit
they can't
older
afford
than the
anything.
parents of
Because young people
these
flipping out
same
about how they can't
parents,
afford
mind
anything.
you.
We're
Because
probably also
these
at the
same
mall.
parents,
Oh,
mind
my.
you,
We're probably
maybe
also
at
maybe
the
this
mall.
problem of not being
Only
able to afford anything
maybe
is not a new phenomenon.
maybe this
I mean,
problem
I
of
remember
not being able
stepping
to
onto the
afford
college
anything
campus is
and
not a new
being
phenomenon. I mean,
offered
I
a
remember
credit card,
stepping onto the
seeing
college
tons
campus
of
and
tables
being
where
offered
there
a
were
credit
young,
card,
cool-looking people
seeing
saying,
tons
"Hey,
of
come sign
tables
up. You can get a
where
credit card.
there were
College is
young,
expensive."
cool-looking people
And you're going to
saying,
be able to
"Hey,
come sign
need to be
up.
able to pay
You can
for
get a credit
things."
card. College
And
is
I just thought,
expensive.
wow,
And you're going to be able to
need to be
being
able
an
to pay for
adult
things.
grand.
And I just thought, wow.
And yet, isn't being
why
an
is it that in
adult
America we want to
grand?
have our
And
cake
yet,
and eat it too?
why
We want to
is it that in
shop
America
till
we
we
wanna
drop
have
our
and
cake
yet
and eat it
we
too.
don't wanna
We
drop
want
a
to shop
dime.
till we
We
drop
want for
and yet
someone else.
we don't
to
want to drop a
pay
dime.
for our
We want
mistakes.
for someone
else.
We want
to
it,
pay
but we don't feel
for
we should
our
have to pay for it.
mistakes.
And we want
Those
it, but
teens
we don't feel we should
who
have to pay for it.
have found
And
themselves
those teens
wondering where their childhood
who
went, have found
because of
themselves
social media.
wondering
Would
where
those
their
teens have been
childhood
better
went
off
because
if they
of social
were
media.
cruising around the mall? Would those teens have been better off? Would we not be if they were
trading one vice
cruising
for the
around
other?
the mall?
I mean,
Would we not be
trading
many
one vice for
young
the other?
people are
I mean,
in a world of debt?
many
As are their parents.
young people are
In a world of debt. One could
as are their
argue that
parents.
spending so much time
And
hanging around
one
the mall,
could argue that
desperate to
spending
go
so
and to
much
be a
time
part of that culture,
hanging around the mall
contributed
desperate to
the
go and to be a part
consumerism
of
problem
that
we
culture,
have today. Contributed to
one could argue
the
that
consumerism problem we
to be
have
fair,
today. In my
one could
mall
argue that
days, though, if you weren't
to be
working,
fair,
you didn't have much
in
cash to
my
spend
mall
at the wall.
days,
Maybe
if you weren't
$20 in your
working,
pocket. You didn't have much cash to
maybe
spend at the wall.
post
Maybe
up to get you a
$20 in
snack.
your pocket. And hopefully,
Maybe
maybe a pair of
post
earrings at
up to get you a
Claire's.
snack.
And then,
And hopefully
you could
still
maybe
have
a
a
pair of
little bit to
earrings
take
at
back home
Claire's.
for your next
And
trip.
then you could
Still have a little bit to take back
interesting,
home
isn't it?
for your next trip.
Well, I must confess, there must have been some days I went to the mall and didn't spend
Interesting,
anything.
isn't it?
Well, I must
With that
confess, there
being
must have been
said,
some days I went to the mall and didn't
would
spend
bringing
anything.
back
the mall actually give young people
With that
something
being
to do
said,
and to look forward to?
would bringing
Could
back the mall
that
actually
be
give
part
young
of
people
our
something to do
social
and to look
media
forward
solution?
to?
I mean,
Could
with
that be
young
part of
children,
our
we say get out of the
social
house,
media solution?
go play in the
I
park.
mean, with
We'll
young
take you
children, we
there.
say get out of the house.
Let's set up a play
Go
date
play
with your
in the
friend.
park.
We'll take you there.
But what about teenagers?
Let's set up a play date with your friend.
What are we doing as a society?
But what about teenagers?
To make sure that they can.
What are we doing?
Enjoy
as a
themselves.
society?
To make
Explore
sure that
themselves,
they can
discover themselves without
enjoy
being
themselves
at risk of
explore themselves, discover
acquiring
themselves without
an addiction.
being at risk of
getting
an
sucked
addiction.
into something that's going to be harmful.
without being at risk of
Maybe your
getting
teenage
sucked into
years were
something that's
spent
going to be harmful.
cruising around town in your friend's
Maybe your
car,
teenage years were
looking
spent
for something to
do,
cruising around town in
trying
your
to see if you
friend's
get
car,
somebody to buy
looking
you
for
guys some
something to
beers.
do.
Oh,
Trying to
what's
see if you
that?
get somebody to
buy
your
you guys some
friend's
beers.
parents are out of town.
Oh, what's that?
Maybe you can go and hang out at their
Your
house.
friend's
parents are out of town.
Because there's a liquor
maybe
cabinet.
you go and
there.
hang out at their house because
There's a
interesting,
liquor
isn't it?
cabinet there.
And yet, presently, many abandoned American malls are trying to be turned into housing,
abandoned American
which,
malls
when I heard of this, I
trying
thought, well,
to
that's
be
a wonderful
turned
idea.
into
If no one's
housing,
going to the mall,
which, when I heard of this, I thought, well,
Americans
that's a
are short on
wonderful
affordable
idea.
housing.
If no one's
Sounds
going to
like
the
problem
mall,
solved. Only,
and
oh no,
Americans are short
it
on affordable
seems
housing.
Many
Sounds like problem
malls are
solved.
zoned
Only,
in commercial
oh no,
areas, and
it seems
ordinances
many
say that one cannot
malls
live
are
in a
zoned in
commercial
commercial
areas,
areas,
and
so
ordinances say that
there
one cannot
is
live
the
in a
process
commercial
of
building, appealing
and so
to the local
there
governing
is the
boards in
process
order to change
of
the laws so
appealing
that way
to
said
the local
commercial
governing
buildings
boards
can
in order
also
to
be
change
turned
the
into
laws so that
housing or
way
mixed-use
said
facilities.
commercial buildings
Speaking
can
of
also be turned
facilities,
into
if you've ever been to the
housing
mall,
or mixed-use
then
facilities.
there's
Speaking
only
of
so many
facilities,
bathrooms.
if you've ever been to the mall,
the plumbing is
then you
not
know
exactly throughout the entire
there's
building.
only so many
So
bathrooms,
the conversion
and
process, the plumbing
is
not
not
exactly
cheap,
throughout the entire
and
building.
it
So
takes
the conversion
time,
process
but
is
still
not seems
cheap,
a bit fun,
and it
though
takes time.
doesn't that present a
But
problem in and of itself?
still
Seems a bit fun.
if someone is
struggling
to
doesn't that
afford
present
housing
a problem in and of itself?
and
if someone is
the
struggling
local
to afford
governing
housing,
bodies approve
and an abandoned mall for
the
mixed use, and
local
so part of
governing
that
bodies
facility
approve
is
an
then
abandoned mall for mixed
leased
use,
out
and
to
so
part of that facility is then leased out to
patrons living
boutique coffee
above
shops
these establishments
and eateries
would be willing to
that
patronize.
said patrons living above these
Are they going to save any
establishments
money?
would be willing to patronize.
They've got to pay their rent.
Well, and of course,
Are they going to save any money?
living there, they'll get like a little
If you've gotta pay
discount
their
as long
rent.
as you go ahead.
And of course,
living
show
there,
your
they'll
support
get like
for
a
the
little
local businesses
discount as long
downstairs,
as you
which
go
of course one
ahead
wants
and
to
and so
show your support for the local
that
businesses
consumerism
downstairs,
problem
which of
returns.
course one wants to do.
And
And
so that
this
consumerism
comes to my
returns.
mind
As I recently finished a conversation
This
with a
comes to my
friend in
mind
Japan. As I
talking about
recently
how she
finished a
spent her
conversation
weekend
with a friend in
hanging out at the
Japan.
mall, talking about how she
And
spent her
I
weekend
talked to a friend in
hanging out at the
Turkey
mall,
who also
and spent
I
her
talked to a
weekend
friend in Turkey
hanging out at the mall,
who also, and I thought,
spent
oh,
her
the joys of
weekend
youth,
hanging out at the mall,
the joys, and I thought,
hanging
oh,
out,
the joys of youth,
exploring,
the joys,
discovering, of hanging out
and
exploring,
learning,
discovering
one's
likes and
and
dislikes, learning impulse control
one's
and
likes,
learning
and
to wait.
dislikes.
I mean,
Learning
after all,
impulse control. I
and
didn't have
learning to
$75 to buy that purple faux
after
fur
all,
coat.
I
I
didn't
saved
have
up for it.
$75 to
And
buy that
I
purple
went back
faux
to
fur
that
coat.
store again
But I
and
saved up
again,
for it.
hoping it would still be
And
there.
I
went back to that
store
one day again and
I could
again,
buy that
hoping
coat.
it would still be there.
And I did.
That one day, I could buy that coat. Well, darlings,
And I did.
I hope this little episode has got you to thinking. Well, darlings,
About how
I hope this
you
little
spent your
episode
youth.
has got you to thinking
About how
about
you
how
think
you
should
should spend
your
your
youth.
time today. About how
And
you think
about
youth should spend
why
their time
is it
today.
that
And
Americans
spend
why is it
the way they do.
that
Americans,
if you are an
spend
American,
you might have
the
some
way they
ideas
do.
on that. But I ask
you
you,
are
an
an
American, you might have
did
some
you
ideas on that.
spend that
But
way?
I ask you,
Because
did you
part of your youth
spend
was
that
spent in the mall?
way? Because,
Part
well,
of your youth
babies,
was spent in the mall.
it's been delightful.
Well,
I
babies,
do hope today's
it's been
little
delightful.
conversation sparked a little something
do
in
hope
you. Today's
to
little
go chat
conversation
about something so taboo
sparked a little something
with
in
someone
you.
you love,
To go
or
chat about something
even
so
with a
taboo
stranger, with someone you love,
Until next time,
or
darlings,
even with a
it's been
stranger.
lovely
To chat.
Until next time, darlings, it's been lovely
to chat.